You cannot escape it now. It's on land. It's in the studio as well. G2 will be starting on the CT side. We have the dual Berettas on Pasha. They be making a comeback after Stanislaus' shenanigans. 2 smoke grenades on Virtus Pro as well. So we'll see what can be done. Looking for the pre-fires. Showing some presence top mid, leaving some decoys there, and then heading back towards Banana. But there's been no movement whatsoever just yet from G2, not taking any bait.
Yeah, that's been the problem. They have a spotted arch and they've held on to it, so they don't have to over-rotate. Still 3 people up here waiting for a fight. No one's on Banana, but since they have 3 people on the site, they don't plan on rotating either. So Virtus Pro are going to assume there's going to be 2 max, and we'll fall into this.
Yeah, but ultimately it is a pistol round, and it will be about the headshots. Flashes from the Virtus Pro team. One of the teams that use more utility in pistol rounds than others. Apex off to a good start. Shox picking up another frag. Oh my god, that's a big takedown from Pasha, and it might just let the bomb get planted. Kenny charging through the smoke, can't stop the bomb from going down though. Trying to avoid facing 2 people at the same time. He's being very patient with the pistol, but not quite hitting the mark. That leaves Body with a lot to do. He's got 1 bullet in the magazine. Has anybody told him? Because, okay, only 1 bullet required. Body 1 versus 2 now. Pasha and Taz quite tagged. But it's Pasha delivering another kill with the dual Berettas. 3k for him in that round, and the pistol goes to Virtus Pro.
Do you feel like pistols are kind of a coin flip sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we see a good example of that right there, where there's 3 people in the B site, a couple of them missed shots, they have the appropriate setup to deal with them, but then, you know, the other team win with 2 alive. So I think in VP's mind, they're like, oh crap, we just ran into a stacked site, we got to rework that strat in the future. But for G2, they're thinking, oh, we could run that again. We did the right thing. We just missed a few shots. And we see that very often on pistol rounds, probably because there's not much utility to use, because you don't always have armor, and obviously because you don't have any of those gun advantages. You can't play those long ranges when you have 1 around. Up on Banana. MBK just spotting, and he has a smoke out. He's actually delayed for quite a bit here. Still hasn't released it. He did a really good job delaying. If he let that smoke go too soon, it'd be like 1:15 now, and Virtus Pro could take top Banana or actually move into B.
Virtus Pro 4 towards the A site. That's a big tag from Shox, but only down to 3 HP. Shox will hunt. Does he check the boiler position though? Snacks is there, keeping his teammates safe. So G2 now rotating back towards the A site. But again, we don't expect much. Only Apex with some Kevlar in this round. No late smokes against the T side.
Kind of an awkward spot, and they push in. Okay, they got the arch smoke down. They can kind of plant here, but it's a bad smoke. Wow.
Alrighty.
MBK reads that. That should be one of the final nails here.
So close.
Doing what you can.
Oh man. Well, I mean, there's a world where he can at least kill these players. I don't know if he's got time to take them both out and defuse the bomb. I'm sure they won't allow that, and indeed they won't. The kill will be enough.
In terms of damage, they took down a UMP, an extra 2 of the MAC-10s, so for Virtus Pro, it's not going to be a big deal. They are going to rebuy, I think, into these MAC-10s, knowing that G2 are going to take the L and finally save. And G2, on the other hand, with very low utility. I love to see this with players with their backs completely against the wall, doing something out of desperation, or running down mid. Oh, they get that first kill, too.
Numbers game. That flash is important for the T side. Such a long reload on the UMP, but that is one way to clean things up. It was more expensive than Virtus Pro would have liked, but he doesn't manage to upgrade his UMP. So Virtus Pro, they'll be kept honest in terms of money on their first buy round. So if they lose this, then, I mean, maybe Bali can spread the wealth, but there isn't much money on the rest of the team, whereas often if it was a 3-1 scoreline, the T side would have a full buy in a situation. So there are some advantages to be had from G2, thanks to their work in the previous rounds. Starting with 3 towards the B bomb site, and the execute starts to come in. Will be a delayed grenade. Oh, the double nade towards tree! Ooh! Goodbye.
That's money. G2 have done a really good job. We saw that. We saw that. Oh wow, they're actually pushing down. The smoke isn't perfect, and I wonder if that's on purpose. No, it looks like Neo's going to take advantage of it. And he gets tons of info too, but they're down to 3, so... Is there someone else top banana? No, he's rotating through CT. It looks like whatever Bialy just did is really enticing the CTs into stacking.
Yeah, we've got 3 towards the A site, and Apex it's in a position where if a smoke goes down, I suppose he can rotate towards construction. Maybe he can steal a kill as well.
He's really not committing here. He just wants to, since he's playing CT, he's most likely going to allow them into the smoke or into the CT. Oh, he's not going to flash.
What? And now he can go and hold construction for his side as they rotate. Taz knows the importance of this, and he will shut that down. 2 versus 3. Taz is wired at the moment. Smoke is down on construction. He'll plant 4 there while Bialy tries to cover. Lots for the T side to do here. Heated Posse sets up post plant. It's going to be really hard for them to hold with an AWP in play on one of these 3 players.
Body's still got full nades, so he's got a quad molly, and then they can try to double peek emo. It depends if he's going to be aware enough to do it. There it is, yeah. Oh wow. Oh wow. Just queued up.
And 1 versus 3, looking for the second kill. Body will trade. That's one reason why it's good for everybody to know certain grenades.
You can never know too many grenades.
Yeah. So that's a good first round on the board for G2. And now the bomb plant may help versus Pro Buy. We'll see shortly if they choose to do that. Would have been a world of pain if they hadn't had that bomb plant, but here we are.
I think this is prime G2 when they don't have enough money for 2 ops, so they can never actually buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll win rounds here, but Vivar just will have to continually keep them low enough.
Yeah, it's really brittle, the second AWP would be.
Hello.
Welcome back, Dan.
Thank you. My microphone was rebelling against me. And that's nice timing there for Kenny, yes.
That's really annoying. You know, you want to default, and that's the value of having an opera like Kenny S, is when you want to default, you assume that you can have map control for free. It was kind of like the Mayweather-McGregor fight, where Mayweather was trying to find training partners like McGregor, and McGregor was like, oh, you can't find a training partner like me, it's because you've never boxed against him, and he's got this aggressive style and all this stuff. And with Kenny S, he's going to get inside your default in really awkward positions, and then he's going to take fights when you feel very comfortable. And that's putting him in an awkward position where if someone did expect him to be there, he'd probably die. But he's never as scared. And there's brackets.
Yeah, they might be able to remedy that situation though with that nice explosion to top middle. 2 shocks down, going straight into the open by the wagon. And that's a 2 versus 3 for G2 to get this retake going. Wow! God. Apex with that spray. That reminds me of something Get Right did recently with the FAMAS. Now it's just down to Passion in a 1v2. This round has flipped tables so many times already. See if Pasha can somehow do this. Looking for the 1 versus 1. He'll find it, but he will not be able to best NBK. And I did like your point with Kenny quite a bit. And I do wonder if the leading impact from that is that you sort of you're forced to play that default, that apartment split a little bit slower.
Even slower, yeah.
Because then Kenny can't be sure of the timing that he could get aggressed upon through from middle, because that was such a fast timing. He knows he's safe from any middle aggressive plays.
Yeah, the most blatant example of this is if you, as an opera, are pushing down mid to peek ults, and you have someone holding bottom mid for you, you can only stay there for a few seconds. So if the other team slows down to the point that you can't find a pick in the first 10 seconds, then that's a pointless move. And so, but the value for G2 is that even if he doesn't play there now, they're always going to fear the ghost of Kenny in Boiler. You know, they're always going to hard clear. They're always going to take their time. They're going to use an extra grenade, maybe 2. And there's, you know, Snacks just terrified.
The ghost of Kenny.
The ghost of Kenny.
I like that actually. The ghost effect. Maybe we can make that a thing. The ghost.
Spectre.
Yeah.
I think the Spectre's appropriate.
I like Launder's way of doing it, James.
Oh, well, fine.
To each his own, right?
You're trying to steal it, James. Trying to rename it, rebrand it.
Well, it depends. I think it's a ghost if you're talking about, say, that Boiler play, where he's walked in there, shot someone, and then walked out again, then I think it's more of a Spectre, right? Whereas if he's gone in there and you shot him in the head, then it's a ghost.
Depends, because if it's a ghost, then he's haunting. It's a haunting.
Right.
That's
I think it's more sinister to be haunted by a spectre than a ghost.
What is a spectre? A ghost in a tuxedo?
I think a ghost is more of like a white sheet with holes in, you know, like, ooh, I just like slap. I saw a ghost, I'll just slap it in the face. If I saw a spectre, I'm like, I'm out, that's a wrap.
Right. Something out of Edgar Allan Poe.
I feel like this is a very weird discussion about semantics.
Yeah. But I just want to know at what point is it an apparition, because...
Yeah, there we go.
I'm looking up the definition of a spectre now.
Googling live.
And apparition works as well.
Yeah.
That's good.
A spectre, noun, a ghost.
Absolutely taken down.
See, a ghost in a tuxedo, that's all it is.
The second definition is more interesting. Something widely feared as a possible unpleasant or dangerous occurrence. That could be constipation.
That could be an earthquake.
The spectre of constipation rears its ugly head. Oh no, I wish it would rear its head, then maybe I wouldn't be constipated.
Well, we've got the 3-man push-up banana for control from VP. It's going to work out. MBK goes down, but they may not suspect there's 2 hiding in the site at this point in time. So this is an interesting mid-round call from VP, because there's 30 seconds left, so G2 will be way too afraid of making a rotation should they get caught out of position and move into the push. So this rotation's worked out super well for VP. They're going for the wrap as well. Should they have been isolated away from the pit and not playing together, they could be really, really bad. Instead, it's just going to be super bad. And they will all die and give up the site.
That was really good. As soon as G2 at like 30 seconds, just as you mentioned, they had 2 on site. They were so far pushed in, there was no way they're going to re-aggress for pressure. So VP knew that they could hightail it back to A. And if they took any more time to make that decision, G2 might have gamble stacked A or started rotating early, making it a lot more difficult to get on the site. If an extra kill had come out, who knows, the retake might be on. So that's a really big deal, and a really good round from Virtus Pro.
And it's cool to also highlight that as a concept of understanding how to play the man advantage, like the man advantage like window you have within the timings that are operating there.
Yeah, a lot of times as casters we see the intent to rocket back to their site, but you see them taking so long to make the decision. You're like, just go, right? And I think that they should feel like that as well. And we see Virtus Pro right there kind of quell that feeling by acting accordingly. I mean, they had the information. They just have to be. It's like the experience, right? That's what really gives you the final tell.
And also, I mean, we were talking about yesterday too, like having all the players sort of on the same page as far as the philosophy of how your team plays is super important, because then everybody sort of like it just clicks for everybody in the mid-round call. It's like communication can be an issue, but if everyone sort of just understands how everybody's supposed to play in these spots, it allows you to have like super dynamic and great mid-round situations. That's
the importance of good leadership too. And a lot of people criticize Shocks, but you can see that when in his teams, even though they have kind of a simple style, that they act very decisively and they all trust his calls. And that's like more important than almost anything else, is because you can do a million things in a round, but if your team doesn't trust your call, or 3 out of 5 players don't really believe that this is going to work and they half commit, even mentally, then it fails.
Nice trying to escape through the boiler, but the trade is there on either side. Kenny, has he seen one player go through the smoke? Surely he realizes that the fact will blind him again though, and then Neo out of the boiler will shut him down. Maybe Shocks, I was wondering about that kill. Surely if he got that, didn't get that, then I don't even know. 2 versus 2, we've got a full rotation from the B bomb site. VP should know they might have a bit of extra time on their hands, but they've already got a crossfire in the pit.
Well, it's interesting to see VP be so forceful with bracket control. Kenny obviously felt a little bit stranded, I think, out at mid. Sitting in the smoke, I felt like he thought he had more time to work with.
Love that pop flash into quads. Or Porch, who are from America. Retake it. Not going so well thanks to Bialy's effort there. Nice 3K from him in the rounds. And that is VP with 5 now, just crushing the economy of G2.
Wait, you call Porch quad?
Oh, Porch is that's the little, is it Little Pit?
Little Pit? Or we cut like the lane right by the truck?
Wait, so
Shorts?
Shorts? Yeah, the short
yeah,
shorts and long.
Quad. Yeah. Oh, quad because of the porch pillars.
So yeah, okay, yeah. I thought for a second sense. You made me question that quad is porch. Okay. So I was like, what's going on?
I was curious.
Yeah. So we tend to call it quad in Europe.
Okay.
Welcome to Europe. This is Europe right now. And this is Nico for G2. So VP are doing a pretty darn good job. And again, it goes to our point sort of in the pre-game where it's like VP know how to play Counter-Strike. It's just that you don't always necessarily see that in their game. So you just have to be vigilant and keep a hawk eye to their play, and then you can really see, you know, what's going on. And oftentimes some very cool things. And a lot of teams steal stuff from VP because VP can be very innovative as well. So
yeah, they can. I did an interview with Snappy from Heroic,
yeah,
and he said that I always regarded VP, I hadn't studied them as much at the time. This is Katowice, and I hadn't studied them as much at the time, but I always regarded them as this team that was very explosive and well coordinated, but quick, and never thought about them too much from a tactical point of view. And for him, he said that even tactically, they were by far the best team in the world, or the most studyable, I guess.
That makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, Virtus Pro have done lots of awesome things on many maps. They release simulations to watch. I think one of the most telling things at the moment is when you see, like on Mirage, when you see a play to plant the bomb on T side for short, and they have one guy often with a scout, like on an eco round or a full spy round, going through B apartments on a late rotate. That's like a Virtus Pro strat, which a lot of people do. For example. That is next level from the CT side.
I'd be so mad.
And that setup is becoming really common, that a team will throw it in like maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times. And it is definitely exploitable. There is like a double Molotov player, I think, for Boiler, which just completely wrecks it. But
yeah, because you can throw it over the stairs from safety.
Yeah.
From the back of apps, so.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting because yeah, there's a lot of cool little counterplays to that, and that's why another reason why Counter-Strike's awesome, because of the way the metagame really impacts everything and how people adjust to.
See how wide Kenny S is going just on that peak alone? Like, he was on the other side of the door. Like, he is in a position that he cannot fall back. Most operas are in a position where, you know, they're inside library. It's not as good of an angle, but they're safe. But Kenny's like, I'm going to hit this shot, and if I don't, I'm dead, and my team loses the round, but he doesn't even think that far. And, no, it's because he's so confident.
30-second late rotate, but will it be 2 people or 3?
Are they saving?
I might be saving, yeah.
Oh
I did wonder if he was going to throw a smoke. I thought, like, is he throwing a smoke arch or something? Didn't even realize it was a save.
That's kind of weird.
I like that though. It's like the admission. It's like, yeah, boys, we've screwed this one up. We've nonce this one right up.
They're going to have good loss bonus on for the other 2 players, so I feel like we don't see this often enough. People, when it's quite clear you're about to run to your doom, people will often just do it. Maybe don't have the patience to do something else.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll try to get some damage in, no matter how like bad it is, as far as like the odds to actually get it off.
Yeah. I think Neo bought a Bison by accident.
I found definitely that they have to spend just as much time. A team has to spend just as much time clearing out banana as top A, whether or not they use it. Otherwise, the rotates are going to be too obvious to any tier 1 team.
Yeah.
And they clearly just kind of failed on their first attempt to take bracket and lost 2 people, and it was by that point it was just too late.
What do you call bracket? I don't even know what bracket is.
Oh, sorry, brackets for me is everything between arch and porch.
Okay.
So
because
top mid.
Jordan uses bracket as well, but I don't think it's something we use in Europe.
Do we just say top mid, don't we?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, top mid.
Yeah. That's interesting. The other idea as well, speaking of like taking top and on, and you know, you said you gotta spend as much time doing that as taking top, middle bracket, is it's the concept of making sure that your opposition is taking like increasing the amount of risks that they have to take, because that's generally obviously going to be in your favor, because you're always creating harder decisions for them to make, and sometimes they're going to take a bad risk because there's so many risks, and sometimes they just have to pick one. And so if you have map control everywhere, that's the situation you're putting upon them. It's like, okay, we have to take a risk with our utility to get information. That information that they need might actually cost them, because they might make this info play and you might be ready for it, or you may just try to set that up to capitalize upon that. So if you don't just give up map control, you don't get that
Look at what's going on here. G2 were forced back to the site, but they've chosen to push short, and they must realize that it's going to be a B play. Apex trying to slow things down. playing the pull position, which is interesting. There's one flash left onto NBK, but is it going to come in time? No, I think it's just a weird off angle, and so far so good. A two-man push through the smoke versus Pro as the clock runs down. Doesn't work out for them. And we saw a talk of this yesterday as well from Nothing with the late pushes through a smoke.
So they actually messed up here. They took top bracket control, and just as you pointed out, G2 called them out and then went back to look for information so that they could quicken that rotate. But what happened was VP didn't count nades properly at B. There's only 2 people there, but they only used 1 smoke that entire round. So as soon as it's 20 seconds, you have 15 seconds on a smoke. There's no way for VP to win.
Yep.
So they can execute at 5 seconds, so they have to go through a smoke. And that the funny part was there was not a single smoke on anybody else on the server. So wrong site, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you guys had missed the cast with Nothing yesterday, he went into mad amounts of detail on a lot of stuff, and he talked about their situation. And I forget which team was it that he sort of called out for the mistake. I think it was it's NRG, I think, actually. I think maybe an NRG.
I think so.
By the way, moving forwards, it's a pretty close game between these two teams, actually. G2 economically were in quite a bad spot, but obviously VP have given up a couple rounds, almost to sort of just running out of time, and as you say, sort of like putting themselves in the spot where they had to make a really, really hard decision, and perhaps there they sort of overlooked that they miscounted the nades. So now VP, you're talking about map control. They don't have top of mid. They don't have banana. There's 50 seconds has already gone in the round, so they're going to start working on banana control. Snacks is pretty much by himself, still without top mid control. This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, especially if they're going to be sitting here holding it, just chilling in cubby, and then skinny with the op too.
And there's that smoke at 40 seconds, so that's not going to go away until like 23.
Yeah.
Or so.
And then Body as well has a smoke. I don't know if he's here. So no, they have a molly still and a rotate.
The G2 with that top mid control, they realize that VP's hand is basically forced. G2 understand that VP can only go to B now. So this should be G2's round. In come the Molotovs, and they've got a pretty decent setup on the bomb sites. And there's the push through the smoke, had a good timing into pull, and that's the cleanup.
That was played perfectly. They showed 2 people on the site before the 3rd person pushed in through CT, so whoever's there holding the smoke, as they know that VP know that G2 are going to get kind of crazy because they have that advantage. They have that person holding the smoke, and once 2 people show themselves on the site, that guy's like, all right, I got to go help my team because they're dying. He gets in, the guy pushes through the smoke, there's no way that they can win. So yeah, once again, information wins the round. It's all because they didn't clear out top mid. It's interesting that, as we saw, G2 retook top mid on that previous round, but there's no retakes on Inferno, like retake setup for B or retake setup for A unless you're low numbers. And so where that happens is at brackets and at top banana.
Well, it's very fast, just pistol round from VP largely with blocks. And what is going on? That's pretty cheeky. Apex not checking every corner. It's hard to blame him in that spot, but this is going to get a bit weird. There's no Kevlar on these remaining players for VP, however, so it should be quite doable. As long as G2 don't get surprised, they should be fine here, but there might be a backstab onto Shox, and that could be the end of him. And if Shox dies, the round is probably going to be lost. And there it is, Shox dead. I think Neo connected every single one of those bullets.
Yeah, you got to wonder why Shox didn't stay in pit. So, you know, if you're alone, you want to delay as long as possible. He obviously wanted a kill and some information, but he would have been able to kill 3 people who didn't have guns if he had just kept his back to a wall, right? That's kind of what you want to do.
Wow. That's not a round you expect to lose.
No. I mean, there is a case for maybe pushing down banana when you don't see anything there. There was that round that, I can't remember, it was SK were being harped on for where they had 2 players push down. It was 15-11 and 2 players push down banana with, it was Phelpson, I think, with their UMPs. But in a 5v5, they were on a low buy, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you win the round just because you are 5v5 as a CT, and sometimes you do have to make an aggressive play. So acting off that information can be justified at times. In that circumstance, getting glocked on a big flank it's pretty rough to justify.
Yeah, James. As you were getting some coffee, there was a Glock eco that won against the CT setup of G2. Glocks, James. Glocks.
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 It happens.
Does it though?
We've
Should
seen-
it really?
We've seen at least 2 USP rounds, one on cobblestone recently. Every now and then it happens, but perhaps it will happen more with the improved Glocks.
Actually, I think we looked at the stats on this because we had a round on train where a team won with 5 USPs on train, and not a single dollar invested, and it was like I think a 1 in 4,000 chance that a full-on like no pistol upgrade round wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen one time. That I can remember, and I actually remember the game, like what game it was because of that, and it was like an Oceania match. It was Team Immunity, I think.
There's no better region for this to happen.
Yeah. Team Immunity versus some other team, and it was on cash. And they did a full retake with 5 USPs, no defuse kit, no armor, no nades against full rifle. So therefore the utility they won.
Oh my god.
Oh my
That's
god.
the beauty of Counter-Strike, right?
That was burned into my mind.
Oh, that's a good name.
Yeah.
Oh, double op setup. Double op adjustment. This might be more justified. When you start to lose, I think this is something that Fallen does that makes a lot of sense. When you start to lose, you do the double op to change things up without actually having to come up with a new CT setup. You just have a strengthened A and B without having to rely on rotations quite as much.
On Inferno as well, I think it can really... I've seen rounds lost because there's miscommunication as to where the teams think the AWPer actually is, because you usually expect there to be one, because it changes how you will want to take certain angles. If you expect a rifler there, if you're and you're thinking to outplay a rifle setup, the AWPer is a completely different dynamic to play against. And this is, speaking of information plays, this is great timing here from G2. Got the info down Banana, rushing 2 players down. All they have to do is just hold onto the site, and they are doing phenomenally well, thanks to Mr. Kenny S. And, wow, Kenny's not going to stop, is he? That's a clean round for G2. 3 ops on the side now. They picked one up.
Yeah. It's become more common to throw a smoke down on the balcony because coming out halls is one of the most scary angles you can possibly take on any map. But here, yeah, once they lose the information, they go back and they regress. This is something that I think SK is best at, is they call out when a team is feigning pressure, and they'll retake control of something, even when it could be very risky. And G2 have done an excellent job of that.
Kenny, it's like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's strange there. Just walk into the angle.
But I mean, that's like the thing that you might see if they weren't expecting it to be another op. But they should
this
know.
is the other thing.
But
right?
last round, NBK took that shot.
Yeah,
that
he did.
shot.
Yeah, he did. He took a shot. They flashed him off of it. He took the shot. That's true.
So we can go with it's just sloppy.
Yeah.
Sloppy play.
Sloppy play.
There's a flash. There you go. That's not sloppy. NBK back onto the angle though. Are they holding it? That's the question. Passion does have an AWP. Yeah, they're all there. There's a smoke down. That's a brilliant smoke from G2.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Was that? I think Apex. Oh, never mind. I thought he got shot by his teammate, but apparently not. Maybe it was Pasha through the wall.
Yeah, it was.
Wow, that was fast.
Ooh. Straight through the smoke. They've actually made this work. It was like what, a 3v5, and they've actually managed to bust through the defense, pick up the kill on the player pushing the smoke. Here's the plant. Kenny is so close through the smoke. Not going to work though. And now comes Body for the assist, and that's going to work out pretty nicely. Just Taz now.
Oh, I don't know if Taz knew, but he actually crossed back, so he might get the first kill. Yep.
Oh, Kenny, yes. Of course.
You hate to see it. Oh my god. He's on your screen for like a whole second. It's too much.
I mean, this is really backwards and forwards, and there was a lot of cool stuff to talk about actually in this first half.
Mm-hmm.
So this was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a ton of good reads, like a lot of fast plays, like good attempts at map control from Virtus Pro, but it was really bare knuckles, where they were going blow for blow on almost every trade, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what would have happened had G2 also not lost to pistols. Like Glocks.
Like Glocks in particular.
Glocks in particular, yeah.
I'm surprised to see so many people still buying so much armor in spite of the update allowing for you to take more hits with aim punch, or like be able to still aim.
Well, you can take more bullets. with the Kevlar as well. Like if you don't land that headshot, it might be 6 bullets to take you down, and that's a lot of bullets. So it does give you more time to fight if you do have the Kevlar, unless the headshots come in.
So for, I believe it's for terrorists, the armor is less valuable versus USPs than it is the other way around. So at least for one side, it makes more sense to get a little bit more utility.
Yeah, I actually like that balance too. That's super cool, because as the terrorist side, you would expect, you would like to see them have utility to actually be able to cut off angles and try to get through choke points. So that's really cool. A natural dynamic to the game that makes a lot of sense.
There you have it. Virtus Pro 2 pistols. That's another thing. It almost counts against you, in my opinion, when you look at such a close scoreline that the team has won 2 pistols, but they don't have like a massive lead.
Well, they won also that other Glock round.
Yeah.
So
3 pistols in one game.
3 pistol rounds.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, they should have a much bigger scoreline.
I
But
think Virtus Pro aren't so great.
we'll forgive them. They've gone for a full buy here, which is really cool. Obviously, look at all that utility. That's sexy. And the CZs is just, again, like super dangerous because of the movement speed. You can get those super wide peaks. And on this map, I think it's really powerful because you've got a lot of these close ranges. You've got these corners which you can sort of do those wide peaks from. It's not a really open map, like maybe like a Cache or a Mirage or something. That's just gorgeous, isn't it? All that utility on the A side, although they'll be subject to the counter utility, those incendiaries doing massive damage. And this has come out flat, really, for G2.
Damn CZ.
I've switched. I'm a believer. CZ is awesome.
I always use the CZ.
Yeah.
I've never really used this 5.7.
It was really a European thing for a long time, though. We didn't have in North America. A lot of people use Tech 9s and 5.7s.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
But yeah, this update, I really dislike the nerfing accuracy because it makes you feel like you aren't getting rewarded for good aim.
Yes.
So if it does take you now 7 shots to kill with a Tech 9, at least you see the blood coming out. At least you see the hit. At least you know you're doing something. Instead of running around shooting by someone, not hitting a single bullet, you feel like you're getting cheated.
Yeah.
And you look stupid, and you get roasted by your teammates in matchmaking.
These Glocks aren't going to do much. Back to normality. I'm looking forward to G2's approach on the 3T side. So, I mean, Inferno always had a pretty consistent standard play style to it, really. I think it only got a bit more interesting in the current iteration because the CT side got weaker because apartments are much easier for the Ts to take. Banana's a lot wider. There's a lot more space. So those smokes are much less powerful than they used to be for the CT side, which I think made the gameplay fairly quite stagnant before. I knew a lot of in-game leaders that just absolutely just hated calling on the T side and felt like the CT side was so just cookie cutter that they didn't even need to do anything as well. So
it made both sides less fun because on CT side you had an expectation to get 12 rounds, which is a lot. That's a lot to expect.
Yeah.
And it makes pistols more important, which also sucks.
Yes.
So it is nice to know that you can lose some CT rounds. I think maps need to be a little bit CT-sided in general, though, because the economy is so much more important. So you're more likely to lose a few rounds in a row on CT side because things are more expensive. And so if a map's a little bit more CT-sided, then it kind of evens out.
Yes.
Ts have more opportunities at round wins.
I like that. That's an interesting solution to try to solve some of the potential variance in the pistols. Because I think, as you say, that is an interesting idea. Some people would like to get rid of the pistols because of the variance that they create.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but I wonder how fun it would be if the entire game was... Right, you'd still have save rounds, but if you started on rifles, and how much you would start with. So I feel like playing a whole match in just OT is not that fun. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm with you there as well. I don't know.
It's a hard one.
Maybe that's something that the future might bring. We'll have to see. But for now, it's we've got 30 seconds left, and G2 have not done a huge amount on the map just yet. They've obviously got a decent amount of map control here. They did have some eyes on top Banana, so deciding to go for A. VP will have a rotation coming in already, so they look alright on the rotations, and of course they have some of these SMGs still, and if they were to win this round, it would be massive on their economy. So Snacks sitting in the pit is, if he can do big things here, that would be fantastic for VP. Able to hold down pit still. Bialy bought some space and distraction, and these remaining players are so weak. Shox on 16 health. Can he get the headshot? Going for the taps. Knows he has to get that one bullet. Can't quite find it just yet. The flicks keep coming in around the corner of the box, but in comes Bialy, the slow creep, the crouch, the crab walk. A success. Resounding success.
Oh my god. He was really hedging his bets there. Didn't want to commit too hard to any one peek, but needed the one tap because of his health. Played that headshot angle, but I think got that sneaking suspicion that Bialy was just trying to get around the box to get any spam damage in. But they did so much damage with those MP9s on site, even though G2 had the perfect split. They had 1 halls, 1 lane, 3 arch. I think that is the ideal way to split A. That makes CT so uncomfortable. You're not even safe in pit anymore. And ideally, if you have the money, you should be trying to do that whenever you take A.
They had so much to do in such a short space of time, though.
True, yeah. It was a close call.
Deagle's, that's the full butcher buy from G2. Body, the only person without Kevlar taking a grenade, of course. Why not?
That's of course how it has to go.
Early on last round, I think it was Bialy and Snacks were changing positions because Bialy... no, I think Snacks was over towards B with an MP9, but they wanted to put an M4 over there instead. But now they all have the rifles they want. Pasha on AWP. Pistols moving into close range towards Arch.
So VP love 3-lane setups. Wow, funny to see Snacks run all the way back just to check.
That's a beautiful flashback. The angle on Arch, and now they don't know if it's a wrap or not. So the bomb might be spotted towards a short position by the pit player, so that would give the game away. And now they need to get their crossfire on once more. A slow creep from G2. Not quite trading just yet. Finally, Pasha will go down. Ooh, the high ground. That's a great shot from NBK. Getting notorious with the Deagle is the Frenchman. And now we're in a 2 versus 2 pit possession. The bomb on site. AWP and Topher Shox as well. They could just win this.
This will be a huge round for GT to win as well. VP are taking a lot of advantages. Here comes the rest onto Shox. Bialy's good for it. And there is a defuse successful retake. And I think VP, it's really cool how they played that the side. Obviously, those are very typical positions, but for some reason, it really stood out to me more like how the crossfire works, because you could really see that they have really good communication amongst each other. Because as soon as Taz was sort of locked down by balcony, he was unable to take the angle onto the players coming from quad to provide the right cover for, I believe it was Taz, who's in the corner up on the box. So then Taz had to like start looking elsewhere, and like they had very good timings with how they managed those crossfires. And you can't make a mistake there. Your back is against the wall. There's nowhere to fall back. So it's a good example of how, again, as Lorna's pointed out, you know, how, you want to attack the sites, but also they want to defend the sites.
Yeah, and G2 pulled off the split again. It came down to the 1v2 or 2v2 at a certain point, which was not a bad position to be in. But it seemed like the only point at which VP were... Oh, whoa. Wow. Yeah. Snack's not scared at all. And I don't know if they know that after killing MBK that should be a sign, but I think at one point, you know, Snacks was peeking lane and then or porch, and then ran all the way to Arch just to pick it up as if he didn't know that no one was playing Arch. I'm like, wait, why is no one watching this? Or maybe this shouldn't be open. Wow, Snacks getting so aggressive, and they're up so many numbers. I mean,
he's watching further. He's been watching further demos.
Oh my god, yeah.
We talked about this yesterday as well, actually, because we did have SK playing, and so if was on the server. And because Fer loves to play, you know, when he's playing Banana on the CT side, he loves just like finding these aggressive timings, even if it's like a 5v4, which again, and you know, we were talking about how, obviously, in the fundamentals of CS:GO, if you've got a 5v4, you know, you play a bit more passively. The information isn't quite as valuable because you're not up against as many numbers, all this kind of stuff. But but then, you know, if Fer, like, he has these intuitions and he's so experienced, he can just win the round for you, and he's like that random element that the other team has to deal with, and that's like such a big deal. So it's cool. And then Snacks is obviously like one of the sneakiest players that we have in CS:GO. So
Yeah, I was talking about earlier how there's the Inferno match with SK where Fur and Phelps ran down mid, or ran down Banana in like 15-11 and ended up losing the game because they went super aggressive. But they had UMPs on that round, right? So
Right.
on that round, it wasn't actually like the best buy ever. And so I think even in Fallen's mind, this isn't a round that that is going to be handed to you. The other team is full AKs, full utility. They're going to be able to clear stuff out and bait our stuff out. So if we get map control and we feel like we have a read, then to push 2 UMPs down Banana to try to get a kill is actually not that bad of a play all the time.
Yeah, I think that sounds really good in those spots, yeah.
So it's definitely not always cut and dry, I think, for these top teams. But this game is getting away from G2. We're up to 13 rounds for VP, another full buy, one of the last opportunities for them to actually try to come back. I think they do have a good chance here. I'm curious what they'll do, though, because they've been doing actually kind of a worse job than VP were at taking map control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not been stellar.
And that's just a missed lineup right there, as you can see from the left side of the smoke.
That should never, ever happen.
That should never happen, yeah. An arch smoke.
VP have top Banana still as well.
There's a few smokes you should never miss. You should never miss a mid to B smoke on Dust 2. Right? A stairs smoke on Mirage on A. Some smokes are just too easy to miss, you know.
And, I mean, VP, they feel very confident in what's happening here. They're rotating a player to float Speedway and rotate towards A. They have all that Banana control. They know exactly what the G2 team is trying to do at the moment, and they've got a really good contain around them with 4 players. Great tapping there from Taz. Just doing the rounds. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic from Taz. We fought as well, but it was Snacks. Brilliant round from VP. And that, it's actually quite funny because, as you said, you know, G2 is struggling to take map control a bit worse than VP, and we were like talking about VP and how some of these rounds were just easy auto wins for G2 because they knew exactly what VP were doing. Now VP just did exactly the same to G2, so it's quite funny actually.
There we just didn't see any flashbangs. Like there was no one was blind. We saw that on the previous round as well, where they were able to just take all these fights whenever they wanted to. And here's Snacks going super aggressive once again. I think recognizes either a force up or a save, but oh my god.
Oh man, he's gonna let him go.
That's the bomb as well. He knows it's the bomb. Oh, does he go and clear everyone else out? Oh my god. It's hilarious. I think that's the kind of Virtus Pro when they're at their best, where it's just like, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to do this, and it's going to work because we are Virtus Pro.
The crazy thing is like the amount of plays that were available to Snacks there. He's probably overwhelmed with like, I could do so many things from this position. He could have even just hidden pit for like another 20 seconds. Like that is a viable play for sure as well.
I mean, that's where, you know, the average player is like that chick from NCIS, that meme where all the math is in front of her face or whatever. She's just looking around like, what do I do?
Oh man. Well, I mean, it's a 4v4. G2 obviously can absolutely work from this position. They picked up the M4 that was dropped by Snacks as well. And they are looking to go for a play towards B. And this is another one of the reasons why like you have to know how to play against the CT side that's lost a player, because it really affects their rotations, it affects how they do setups on sites, it affects their ability to take information, which means you don't have to take as much control of the map, and they have to take certain risks. And we can go to that in more detail in a moment, because we do have the push coming into the B sites. Some good counter grenades coming in. Neo actually able to draw his gun. No trade frag. Good follow-up snaps as well with the AK. And it looks really solid here from VP. 15 rounds for them.
That was some really awful spacing.
It was.
Yeah, I remember this round, it was like a long time ago, but it was like TSM were getting opt crossing cat on the A. So, you know, when players mark a lot, they have like free reign on players crossing cat if they have no utility to flash them off. And all of those players died in the exact same spot, meaning the spacing was so equivalently bad that every single time the op came off of cycle, it was able to shoot again.
It was 1 versus 1 every time.
Yeah.
Not playing the numbers game. No charge down mid this time from any Virtus Pro players. NBK limited to the MP7 in this round.
I like how his M4 does actually say behind you, bruh. That is like so accurate.
As if you'd be able to read it.
Well, again, you know, VP, they can comfortably stack 4 players on A. No pressure towards Banana at all. And it depends, though, whether they can actually get the shots off, because Apex is running in there from quad. Brilliant timing on the flash, and the peak follow-up from Snacks is good for the frags at the very least. And there's more players to try to just force the issue here. There's no other choice but to go in, but the flashbangs are dismantling the push. Even a team kill coming in from the likes of Kenny, but he is with Shocks now. And all he has to do is take down Taz. Spray comes in, and we're into the 1v1.
Oh, how far is he going to go, though? Is he going to go to B? Oh, he's going to B.
Oh, the timing.
He's trying to win.
That is some solid timing. What does Neo read the situation to be, though? Because I think it's so hard for Neo to figure out that he was in a position to be able to run to B.
Yeah. I think here, you know, Shocks doesn't really have an idea, but he realized that he rotated through mid at the very least.
Also, actually, Shocks, he fake planted twice, but the first time was in one spot, and obviously like the other time was in a spot, you know, towards library side. So
yeah.
maybe that was in Shocks' mind all along, because it does make Shocks sound like he's in the same position.
Here's a fast way to kill 10 seconds. Neo elephant footing around.
You gotta guess, Neo. You gotta pick a spot. No. Maybe you don't. That's a fantastic reaction, but oh, is he gonna have time? Just barely enough time. That was so quick. Such a nice clutch there from Neo. Amazing.